Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Trinity College Theological School Open House. It is great to see everyone on Zoom today. My name is Bob Derenbacher, and it's my pleasure to serve as the Dean of the Theological School at Trinity College. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional owners of the lands on which Trinity College stands. We acknowledge their elders past, present, and emerging, and continue to work and pray for the ongoing efforts of reconciliation. Thank you, everyone, for participating today. Normally, we would be conducting this event in person at our Parkville campus in Melbourne, but due to the ongoing pandemic, we are doing so by Zoom today. And while I think Trinity College is best experienced in person, the nice thing about Zoom is that we're able to include some of you who are from outside of Melbourne and outside of Victoria. So welcome everyone. Just some Zoom housekeeping matters to start. Please make sure your microphone and your computer or iPad is muted. To maximize your viewing experience, please select side-by-side viewing mode by Zoom. You may also want to turn off your video to increase your bandwidth. If you have any questions at any point, please utilize the chat function in Zoom. And finally, just to let you know that we are recording this session so we can replay it for any potential students who are not able to participate today. Joining me today are the faculty and staff of Trinity College Theological School, and you'll be hearing from them a little bit later this hour. But today we are going to cover 4 areas. First of all, what is Trinity College Theological School and what it is that we do? Second, why you should consider Trinity College Theological School for studying theology. Third, the study options that you have with us. And then fourth, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions of our faculty and staff. And so that's what we'll be covering in the next hour, and will certainly be done by 1 p.m. Melbourne time. Trinity College has been around since 1872 and has been offering theological studies since 1877. The Theological School is a member of the University of Divinity, which is an ecumenical single subject university that confers all degrees and awards at Trinity College. Trinity is situated in beautiful Parkville, just adjacent to the University of Melbourne. And I'd like to now take you on a video tour of Trinity College. Now, depending on your internet connection, this video could appear a bit jumpy on your screens, but you'll be able to watch this again from our website more smoothly if that's the case. Anyway, here's the video.
Hi there. My name is Bob Derenbacher, and I'm Dean at Trinity College Theological School, one of the colleges at the University of Divinity. Here we offer courses of study in theology to undergraduates, postgraduates, and students who are taking degrees by higher research, like a PhD. I'd love to show you around our college and our campus. This is our main teaching space, the old Warden's Lodge, or OWL as we like to call it. All of our faculty and staff have their offices in this building. We have a series of fantastic lecture and classroom spaces here at Trinity College Theological School. They're adaptable and flexible, and they're designed this way because we think you as a student benefit greatly by interacting with your fellow students in your class, but also with your teachers. I should say that our faculty who teach here are top-notch scholars in their field. They're really internationally recognized academics. So it's a real privilege to study in this space with leaders in their fields. We got lots of great spaces here at the Old Warden's Lodge, like this beautiful courtyard. Over here, we have a great kitchen and student lounge. These spaces are here for you to hang out between classes and to get to know your fellow students and faculty members better. That being said, I recognize that many of you can't be here in Melbourne and study theology at our Parkville campus. Many of you want the flexibility to study at a distance and study at your own pace in an online format. And the great thing is that all of our units here at Trinity College Theological School are offered in an online format, so you can study online. We're quite adept at doing it, and our faculty have been teaching online for years. So don't worry if you can't be here in Melbourne to study theology. For those of you who take classes on campus, you'll get to enjoy one of Trinity College's greatest assets. It's this beautiful chapel space. If you're a student here on campus, we really would encourage you to come and enjoy this beautiful space for a time of quiet moments or prayer. And while we're an Anglican institution, we are open to students of all faith and none. And one of the important aspects of theological education here at Trinity College is that we're committed to open and honest dialogue about the important issues of our day. As an intentionally Christian learning community, we also gather in this space for daily morning prayer, twice a week Eucharist, and then on Thursdays and Sundays during term time for choral evensong. Choral evensong is sung by the Trinity College Choir, known as the best collegiate choir in the country. They travel around the world and tour, and that's them singing in the background. They're pretty incredible, aren't they? And if you thought our chapel was pretty special, you'll love the rest of our campus too. In addition to the beautiful grounds you just saw, we have this incredible dining hall. Here you can come for lunch or come for coffee between classes. The staff at the theological school often come over here for tea with students and talk about some of the subjects and topics you've learned about in class. So it's a great space and I hope you can enjoy it. Not far from the dining hall at Trinity College is a library that you can use anytime. It's a beautiful space. But just a few minutes walk away from Trinity College is the Dalton McCackey Library. It's one of the best theological libraries in the Southern Hemisphere. Come on in. So as you can see, we have plenty to offer you here at Trinity College Theological School. We look forward to seeing you soon. So I hope that video gave you an idea of who we are, what we do, and what we can offer and where we're located. I think one of the best features of the theological school is its faculty. We are a close-knit community of scholar teachers who really enjoy teaching theology as well as our research and our writing. I have worked at various academic institutions in North America, and I can honestly say that these faculty are really worldwide leaders in their academic fields and certainly some of the best theological scholars in all of Australia. But at the same time, the faculty are just a great group of really friendly and approachable people. So let me allow them to introduce themselves, starting with Chris Porter.
Hi, I'm Chris Porter. I'm the postdoctoral research fellow here at Trinity College Theological School. You'll be hearing a little bit more from me a bit later. But my academic specialties are in the Gospel of John and socially scientific approaches to the Bible. More broadly than that, I'm also interested in and involved in the intersection of psychology and theology. I come from a psychology background, how identity is created and managed, and actually apocalyptic literature as well. Here at the school, I'm going to be teaching in Greek. I teach in pastoral care, and I'm teaching a new course on pastoral epistles and leadership next year. And in the near future, we'll be teaching or co-teaching with Rochelle a course on messianism and intertextuality. I'm an ordained priest in the Anglican Diocese of Melbourne here, and I've been serving with St. Jude's Carlton and Inner West Church for the last few years. I'm married to Gillian, and I've got 2 young children, Caleb and Daniel, with a third on the way. Good to meet you all.
Hello, I'm Dorothy Lee. I'm Professor of New Testament here in the Theological School. Like Chris, I'm also an Anglican priest, an ordained Anglican priest. I share an interest in the Gospel of John with Chris, although I approach it from a somewhat different perspective, complementary perspective naturally. And I'm really interested in narrative and symbolism and how that works in the theology of the gospel. I've published a book recently, or just about to come out, on women's ministry in the New Testament, so I'm very interested in that whole area. And I teach, next year I'll be teaching the Gospel of John and also the introduction to the New Testament. I'm a priest, honorary priest at St Mary's Anglican Church, North Melbourne. And at a more personal level, I have 2 children, 3 grandchildren, and 1.5 cats.
Hello, I'm Fergus King. I direct the Ministry Education Centre at Trinity, which is the bit that does the practical and placement side of ministerial formation for candidates for ministry. I also teach in the academic program in the area that's affectionately known as Field D, which means everything that isn't everything else, or pastoral and practical theology. Because I'm a missiologist by background, most of the courses I teach have the word mission in the title somewhere. And this year I'm teaching ministry formation in the Anglican tradition, preaching for mission and worship, reading Romans in the 2nd semester, and another course that escapes my memory at the moment. I also teach in New Testament, and my research focuses on socio-cultural readings of the New Testament, partly because I'm a classicist before I became a New Testament student. And I'm also interested in how culture and context shape the way in which theology is done, both historically and in the present. And I retain an interest in African Christian theology. I was a missionary in Tanzania for 6 years. I'm married to Irene. We have 5 boys, aged between 24 and 8. And the secret to having 5 boys is divide and conquer.
Hi, I'm Gary Hurd, and I'm the Academic Dean here at Trinity College Theological School. It's my job to help you find the right course for your needs and to help you choose the units along the way to successfully complete your course. I'm also a senior lecturer in pastoral and ministry studies at the University of Unity. My research focus is in pastoral care, with particular focus on grief and loss, pastoral ministry in the church and in chaplaincy settings, that is pastoral care in community settings. I've over 30 years experience in pastoral leadership in churches as an ordained Baptist minister, as well as experience in chaplaincy in schools, hospitals, community organisations and professional sport. My research focus has been on the impact on parents who have extremely premature infants, and more broadly in the language of faith in the wider community. I teach introductory pastoral care, chaplaincy skills, pastoral care in grief and loss. Next year, a chaplaincy skills unit, chaplaincy skills and context, and pastoral care in trauma with Chris and Fergus. On a personal note, I'm married to Evelyn, have 3 adult children, and I'd welcome the opportunity to talk with you about study options at some stage in the future.
Hi everyone, my name is Mark Lindsay. I'm the Joan Munro Professor of Historical Theology here at the Theological School, where I also serve as the Deputy Dean. My areas of academic expertise include the theologies of both Karl and Marcus Barth, the life and work of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, post-Holocaust theology, Jewish-Christian relations, and modern German church history. I've published a fair bit in each of those areas, and I'd be particularly keen to talk to any prospective research students who were interested in working in any of those areas. Here at Trinity, I teach units across the breadth of church and theological history, from the patristic era, that's the period of the early church, through the Reformation, and on into the post-Enlightenment period of modernity. Next year, my units will be particularly focused on the early church with a survey course of the first 400 years in semester 1. And then in semester 2, I'll be doing a reading course on St. Augustine's Confessions. I'm a priest in the Diocese of Melbourne, and like Dorothy, I'm currently part of the Associate Clergy team at St Mary's, North Melbourne. I'm married with 3 sons, one of whom is a very recent alumnus of this theological school. Again, welcome, and I look forward to meeting you.
My name is Rochelle Gilmore, and I'm Brumby Senior Lecturer in the Old Testament here at Trinity. I teach introductory units in Biblical Hebrew and the Old Testament, and elective units such as Isaiah in semester 2 next year, and in other years, Genesis, Psalms, and other Old Testament books. My research interests are in the narratives of the Hebrew Bible, especially the books of Samuel and Kings. I'm writing a book at the moment on God's violence in the book of Samuel. I'm also a member of the congregation at St. James Old Cathedral in West Melbourne, and I'm married to Dan.
Hi, I'm Scott Kirkland. I'm the Stockdale Lecturer in Practical Theology and Ethics. I teach at undergraduate and postgraduate level Foundations for Theological Study, which is the first year Christian theology unit. And at elective level, I teach units such as Atheism for Christians, Political Theologies of the Neighbor, and The End of History. My research interests broadly intersect with precisely those areas of interest in which I teach. So I work in the space kind of awkwardly between theology, politics, and ethics. And I am currently writing a book called After the End of History, which deals with the relationship between theology, economics, and politics in the present. I am a member of St. Mary's in North Melbourne, along with a couple of my colleagues, and I'm married to Lisa. We have one little boy, Harry, and 2 dogs, one of which ran onto the middle of the road this morning. So we still only just have 2 dogs.
Hello, I'm Peter Campbell. I've been Registrar of the Theological School since 2014 and have worked in various roles at Trinity College in other parts of the college since 2003. So my role at the Theological School covers student enrollments, scholarships, and all other areas of student administration and support. I'm a singer and composer, and my research interests include music in worship and the history of music more broadly in Australia.
So again, my name is Bob Derenbacher, and I am the Dean and the Frank Woods Associate Professor in New Testament here at the Theological School. My academic specialties include the Synoptic Gospels, the letters of Paul, ancient literary cultures, the religious and cultural worlds of the New Testament, and the portrayal of Jesus in film. At the Theological School, I teach units on the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, 1 Corinthians and Romans, and a unit on Jesus at the movies. I'm a priest in the Diocese of Melbourne and a clerical canon at St. Paul's Cathedral. I'm also a dual citizen of the United States and Canada, and I'm married to Cindy, and we have 2 adult children, Chloe and Jack. As I said earlier today, you'll get to chat with our faculty and staff a little bit later this hour. But one of our faculty members is the Reverend Dr. Chris Porter. And Chris is our postdoctoral research fellow. And I've asked Chris to talk briefly on why one might be interested in studying theology. So I'll turn it over to Chris to speak with you on this important and exciting topic.
Thanks, Bob. As Bob has said, he's asked me to speak on why study theology. And theology, I think, sometimes can seem quite odd as a discipline to study. It can seem passé and esoteric in our 21st century busy society. And often it looks a bit, the picture people have in their head looks a bit more like this, of men with long beards or short beards poring over dusty tomes in an ivory tower, relatively irrelevant to the world. However, when big problems arise, catastrophes happen, when things challenge our worldview, I think we start asking theological questions. We start asking not just why has this happened, but what is the problem in our world? Why are we here? What is the purpose of life? How do we relate to one another? The big questions about who we are in this world. And in crises, such as those brought about by this little friend here this year, the coronavirus, we ask what is wrong with the world. We want answers to our questions. Now, I said earlier, I come from a research psychology background, and that indeed offered some answers. But ultimately, it led to just more questions, bigger questions in life, not just questions about why are people angry with each other? Why do people divide in social groups? But what is the nature of humanity? What is our purpose in life? And so I switched from the sciences to what Thomas Aquinas declared as the queen of the sciences, theology. Because studying theology, first of all, allows us to delve deeply into these bigger questions of life. It allows us to answer questions of order, design, intent, purpose. And not just allowing us to or ask questions, but allows us to get some answers, or at least insights into those answers. Allows us to get insights as to why people divide, and also why people are united back together. What brings us together as groups? What brings us together as people? How do you broach the borders of mankind? In my case, it allowed me to look at how and why groups disagree and are antagonistic, and see solutions to that discord in our world. But the study of theology isn't just finding answers. Studying theology is actually a formative experience for us in life. It's not just about answers, but new and better questions that we have. Questions about human existence, about our place in the world, about why people are phoning you in the middle of a lecture. We ask questions about a way of life rather than rule books. Reveals those new questions we ask, but it trains you to answer them well and ask them well. We become shaped and formed to see new angles, new perspectives, and to look in new areas of our world and new areas of our lives. And I trust through the study of not just our world, but the theology of our world, it gives us frameworks to think about it, to think about the things that are around us, such as in a pandemic, why is lament such an important space for us? Or, for example, what does it actually mean to love our neighbor as we would have them love us? What does that look like in the 21st century? And I think these new areas and new questions, they bring about new fruit in our lives and give us areas of inquiry to grow as people. But I think perhaps the greatest thing about studying theology isn't just about getting answers or even finding new questions, but it's about a relationship. Because as a Christian institution, at Trinity, in the study of theology, we get to meet the person of Jesus. We don't just meet Jesus on our own, though. We get to meet Jesus throughout the history of the church, in groups with people around us, and drawing on the inspiration from how the people of God in every time and every place have had a relationship with the divine. We get to see that in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, in church history, and throughout our world. And so we too can find a life-giving connection to our profound desire and longing for a relationship with the divine. But we don't just leave it there. We get to ask questions about how that affects our lives now, how we live and move and have our being in the world, how we do that in relationship with Jesus. We start to work out how it is that we, as part of the church, interact with the world around us, how we see those questions answered in a particularly Christian format, in a theological frame. And we start to think about how we are part of God's mission in this world, to work out his purposes, to be part of the mission of God in the world for us. And so in sum, I think studying theology gets us towards deeper towards answers to the big questions of life. It allows us to ask those questions well, but it doesn't just leave us there. It expands our horizons to new questions, new frameworks of thinking about the world, introduces us to a relationship with the divine in the person of Jesus. The study of theology, the study that we do, it shapes us, it forms us, it brings new fruit in our lives and in the world. It is about faithfully studying our world, the scripture, and our engagement with the divine so that we can be formed and shaped to live faithfully in our world. And so in sum, I think this is the ultimate end of studying theology, is to get deeper into that relationship. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Chris. That was really helpful. As I said briefly in my video tour, one of the features of theological education at Trinity College is flexibility. You can study part-time or full-time. You could start your studies either at various points throughout the academic year, and you can study face-to-face or online through our sophisticated distance education curriculum. I'd like to now turn it over to Dr. Gary Hurd, our academic dean, to talk about what sorts of courses of study are available here at Trinity College Theological School. So Gary, over to you. Gary, you're muted.
Unmuted. Is that better?
That's better.
Good. Well, thanks, Bob. As I said, I've had a chance to converse with some of you already, but it's great to meet with you in this time. As academic dean, I'll give you an outline of the study options that are available to you. There's broadly 4 options available for study at Trinity, each of which has a different entrance requirement. 3 of the pathways lead to University of Divinity degrees and awards, which are recognised internationally. If you're over 18 and don't hold a degree of any kind, you can enter the undergraduate stream, in which there are, from next year, 4 nested awards. In 2021, there has been a new undergraduate award called the Undergraduate Certificate in Divinity, which can be graduating with any 4 units in the undergraduate program, taken over 18 months part-time or 1 semester full-time. The Diploma of Theology is a 1-year full-time award comprising 8 units of study. There are some limits around which type of units you need to do, but considerable flexibility built in. The Advanced Diploma of Theology and Ministry is a 2-year full-time award consisting of 16 units of study. And the Bachelor of Theology is a 3-year full-time award and involves completing 24 units of study. These awards can be completed part-time, allowing 3 years to complete each equivalent full-time year. If you've already completed a degree in any discipline, you're eligible to enter postgraduate study, either for a graduate certificate, which is 3 units or 1 semester full-time, a graduate diploma, which is 6 units or 1 year full-time, or a master's degree. Now, there are 3 master's awards that are available to you. The Master of Theology by coursework is available if you've studied theology before. That's 10 units over 2 years full-time equivalent. The Master of Theological Studies is a 2-year full-time award comprising 12 units available to students who've done no previous undergraduate study in theology. And the Master of Divinity is a 3-year full-time award of 18 units, regarded internationally as the equivalent, postgraduate equivalent of a Bachelor of Theology at undergraduate level. Studying at the rate of 1 unit per semester will allow you to complete any postgraduate award in the maximum time available. If you've done previous studies, credit might be available, and that's something that I can help you discern. If you're interested in research, the pathways are a little more complex. You do need to demonstrate the capacity for research. If you haven't done this before, a graduate certificate in research methods is a good pathway into the Master of Philosophy or the Doctor of Philosophy, both of which require a major thesis. Supervisors are allocated to guide you through, and Scott Kirkland, our research coordinator, can advise you through that pathway. However, if you're not sure about any of this, a good way to test the waters is by taking some non-accredited study, or what we call auditing a unit. This enables you to participate in the class, but doesn't require you to produce papers for assessment. I know all of this sounds a little complicated, but that's why I'm here, to help you choose the best pathway for you. All of the faculty can assist you in setting out on the journey which interests you and helping you achieve your goals. I do remind you that fee help is available for paying the fees for the course, which is the government sponsored program to cover fees for you if you're an Australian citizen or an eligible in other ways. I look forward to talking to you further if there are clarifications that you need.
Thanks, Gary. That was really helpful. Some of you may not be sure which program or which course of study is appropriate for you. Don't worry, that's very typical and common with people who are inquiring about studying theology at Trinity. Please be sure to ask any questions you might have of Gary or the rest of our faculty in just a few minutes. As well, you can pose any questions via the chat function on Zoom. But also, if you have questions after we're done today, please email us at tcts@trinity.edu.au. That email address is on the screen there. And if you're on social media, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. But before we get to questions for faculty and staff, Peter, I'm wondering if you could just talk very briefly about our scholarship opportunities for students at the theological school.
Certainly. So through the generous donations of many benefactors over 120 years now, the theological school has funds available to support students who are studying theology with us. These fall into a couple of different categories. On the screen there, you can see the Joan Adams scholarships are have large amounts of money available under them to high achieving students. Studentships are available for any student who joins our Monday formation program with the process of considering whether you might be interested in being ordained as a leader in the church. So they are available not to people who are definitely going to become priests, but those who are interested in exploring that. We can help you with some funding to help you achieve one or two of those units towards that program. The Barry Marshall Memorial Scholarship is a special scholarship available to a student who was interested in chaplaincy and becoming a church leader in that particular area of being a chaplain, and they have specific duties in areas such as ministering in hospitals or in the army or particularly in schools. And then we have other scholarship assistance available if you were undertaking a postgraduate research degree, and also just a small amount of money available if you are in financial need. So we have quite a large range of scholarships, and so if there's any consideration that you have of studying with us, I'd be very happy to talk to you about whether you'd be eligible for any of those different types of scholarships.
Thank you very much, Peter. And if you have any questions about scholarships, please go see our website for further information on how to apply for scholarships. And alternatively, please again, email us at tcts@trinity.edu.au. Again, if you have questions that do come up along the way, please email us at tcts@trinity.edu.au, and we'll be sure to answer questions that you might have. Again, thank you all for coming today. It's been great to spend time with you, and been great to be able to talk some about Trinity College Theological School and what we offer in theological study. I wish you all a great day and hope to see you next semester in our classrooms at Trinity. All the best. Have a great day. Bye now.